Hi guys, Simon here again. I just got off the bus to a town called St. Julia de something or another. Oh, interrupted by a barking dog. I just got off the bus. Behind the bus is a tobacco plantation. I actually spotted quite a few of them on the way over here on the bus, here and there. Interesting. So I'm going to try and find this museum and we'll cut back in on the next clip. Well, I found it, guys. I'm going to put the camera away because I expect you're not allowed to film in a museum, so I'm going to be quite discreet. Probably won't be a commentary. I don't have a huge amount of battery, so it'll probably just be a cursory look at the exhibits. And look what we have here.
We could.
But then, when we started earning a few more pesetas with tobacco, we started planting it everywhere. I'd always heard people talk about tobacco. Back in the days of my godparents, tobacco was sold to France and Spain because Andorran tobacco was cheaper. I think it's because there weren't so many taxes. Maybe. I don't know much about politics. What I do know is that because other crops didn't give much money, little by little tobacco took over everything. And the farmers survived thanks to it. When I was 8 or 9, I helped my parents plant tobacco, and then I started going to the tobacco factory when I got out of school.
My first employer, Julia Reig, built this factory. Over the main door of the house is a stone that says it's from 1909. In the past, everyone knew it as Cal Raffaello, but today they call it the old factory of the Reig family.
In the past, the boss bought the tobacco from the farmers. It was taken to the factory on animals or by cart until trucks appeared. Each manufacturer bought their own tobacco and had their own clients. Not like today, when there's an association of farmers and another one of manufacturers that take charge of everything related to the tobacco. The tobacco arrived in bales and bundles that we then had to prepare for fermentation.
So, we untied the bunches as quickly as possible, if it came tied up, of course. Sometimes the children helped us when they got out of school. We made sure the tobacco was in good condition. We had to remove any dead leaves or straw it might have. Once in a while, we found a stone that someone had put in to make it weigh more.
At first, we made bundles with the leaves, but later we stopped doing it. And what's more important, we had to turn the fermentation, the leaves, so they wouldn't rot. We'd take down a bulk and we'd make another one. Several months would go by before the tobacco was ready.
was fermenting, there was lots of work and it was very hard. The men did it, but the women also helped. Some would get dizzy from the heat and the smell. You had to eat really well, because if you didn't...
Sodium bicarbonate, boiled water.
We call this the Room of the Secret, because it was here that the boss prepared the water used in moistening the tobacco during fermentation, and where he made the aromas and flavourings that were added to the loose tobacco and the cigarettes.
Dear Mr. Reig, I have received the samples that you sent me, and I have carefully read the notes regarding the problem of the strong odor of Andorran tobacco. I will advise you to use pure cedar and clover essence, since both of them work truly well, and both are being used in Spain. I am therefore having a catalogue from Paris sent to you that I am quite sure you will find very interesting.
All this was the best kept secret of the tobacco, all the way up to the present, if you wish.
The neighbors and the works from here, the fabric. And this one is the boss.
This guy here with the
Yes,
moustache.
the boss, Reig Roqueta. He loved it with the photography, so the people came here to take photos. And this man here is the same, but more.
We brought the fermented tobacco to us in baskets. We then took the leaves and stripped them from the stems, which is called stemming. We did this by hand. We saved the best leaves for the wrappers of the cigars and caliqueños.
The shredding was done with these machines that had special knives for cutting up the tobacco. It was like a guillotine. And so it went. Then there was a certain way to make short filler tobacco and another for long filler. The short filler was cut up into little squares that we then made into pressed cakes and cigarettes. The long filler was like thin strips, and with it we made packets and cigarettes. Well, the women did that in another room. My father explained the powder that people put in their nose and it made them sneeze. But I never saw that. When I was there, electric lights were already in use. Do you remember how we'd run the tobacco through the sieve?
And also we had to clean the dirt and the dust from it. Goodness me, that machine really made the dust fly.
And then we had to take the short and long filler up to the roof. We'd spread the tobacco on the floor and turn it. It took longer to dry the long filler, so the boss bought a heater to help it dry faster. Short and long filler came out darker or lighter in colour. You understand? Then we'd make blends with the different types, and we added flavourings. We explained earlier how we'd add licorice, so that the tobacco would have a good taste and bouquet. But it was the boss who took care of all that, since he was the only one who knew the secret.
The boss received letters from all over the world: Spain, France, England, and even from America and Algeria. It seems he asked for recipes for blends and flavourings and machines. We only went and we were paid by piecework. There were always things to do. Even the nuns made packages, and the priest. We'd have the children come to take them. We'd fill their baskets with packages that were quite small, and then we'd tell them, now, take them to the factory.
A lot of tobacco was sold during the war in Spain, and there was a lot of work. We worked every day, and we were paid so much a week.
The biggest, and here is Serapi. They are the three. And here you have.
He doesn't look happy.
Yes.
None of them look that happy.
And this woman is La Señora Trinitat. She was the wife of Julia.
Right.
The
Okay.
boss,
Yeah.
You know, all the family worked here, and
This is where we women worked. We were all from the village. With the money we earned, we could help out at home. Well, there were also women from families that took refuge here from the war in Spain. They, of course, didn't have land, and they had to earn a living doing day jobs here and there. Those were difficult years for everyone. Oh my, I made thousands of packages and cigars. I remember conversations with work colleagues, and when on Mondays we talked about the Sunday dance.
Little by little, the owners bought more machinery, like these pans that carried the shredded tobacco from one floor to another. The best thing about those days was seeing how the girls worked all around the table.
Weigh the tobacco, put it inside wooden moulds, and then squeeze it with presses with the help of the men. Then we wrapped the press cakes. There were different weights, 50 grams or 100 grams of extra or superior quality, and different brands. There was La Dorada, ABC, Reig, La Nueva Habana, Reig, and those pretty packages printed in golden colours that the owner ordered from Barcelona. We had some machines that we used to make cigarettes by hand. They were called roulés. We wore an apron on which we placed the long filler that we took out of the basket to go faster. We put the long filler, the paper and the starch, then closed the cigarette by machine, and that was it. The cigarillo was long, and then we cut it into four. Sometimes, when the owner needed us to make more cigarettes, we were paid per piece. So the more we made, the more we earned. And we made a lot.
There were also larger machines that made short filler cigarettes. The boss would say, "Put tobacco in the machine." Well, a finished cigarette case. You had to watch it so it wouldn't get stuck. It ran with a motor, and when there was no electricity, we used our arms to push it. We called it La Rapide. The brands I remember were house brands. Each factory had their own brands. Some imitated brands from Spain or France. La Carmela, Charlemagne, Aigle, El Concilier, Regios were some that we made here at Calvaret.
A man's thing. And women didn't smoke very much either. Well, the ones in the films did. To make the packs, we had a ready-made paper. We filled them here or at home.
Another, more modern machine. Second-hand from Algeria, I think. We called it the Universal. We made tons of cigarettes with it. And that's why we were brought another machine that filled the packs automatically.
I knew a lot about making cigars, and bet I could still make one. What we made most were the caliqueños. We already explained that we kept the best leaves to make the cigar wrappers. Our fingers had to be really trained in order to make good cigars, or else they didn't draw. We also made Toscanos and other types of cigars. Later on, they brought out a machine that made the heart of the cigars. The bunch that we had to press, and we rolled on the outer leaf. I remember we used to put Cuban names on the labels because they had more prestige. In the village, many women made caliqueños at home. I also made them at night in the kitchen, and the children helped. We were called the cigar makers.
The men prepared the bundles. Then the smugglers would come and take them to the mountains. I also did it sometimes to make a few extra pesetas. But it was hard work and dangerous. We had to be strong and brave. Now all that's changed. But before, in the Andorran villages and in the neighbouring regions, people always smuggle things from one side of the border to the other. Our grandparents, our parents, ourselves. We've always lived with this and experienced it firsthand. Tobacco has fed many families. But of course today, we're told it's not good to smoke.
The factory itself or to shops in Andorra. However, the quantity produced by Andorran workshops and factories has always been much greater than what could be sold to the local stores. Trade with other countries is what has made tobacco one of Andorra's major industries. For centuries, we Andorrans have marketed our products within and beyond our borders, using mountain roads and facing all sorts of difficulties. Animals, textiles or tobacco have crossed from one side of the mountains to the other, sometimes towards Spain, sometimes towards France. Andorra is surrounded by countries that, ever since tobacco arrived in Europe, have monopolized everything relating to this plant. The customs restrictions imposed by Spain and France caused this trade to be considered contraband. Throughout our history, there have been many political pressures, negotiations, and some agreements that have not always been well balanced. Smugglers for one day. Who hasn't come to Andorra for a visit and bought tobacco, alcohol, cheese, or photographic equipment? Did all of them answer truthfully to the border police when being asked, "Do you have anything to declare?"
Well, that, my friends, was absolutely worth €7. That was absolutely fascinating. Yeah, I was the only person in there, and obviously it's different tour times for depending what language. But yeah, I mean, the smell in there was incredible, absolutely incredible. The smell of tobacco and the whole multimedia thing of it, telling the story. It was way, 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 way better than I expected, to be honest with you. I just thought I'd walk down this old street. I need to try and find the bus back to wherever it is I'm going back to, actually. I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. I mean, I could have filmed the whole tour, but I kind of switched to my camera in there because the battery's, my phone rather, because my battery's running low on this camera. So I hope you kind of got the gist of it. I mean, absolutely fascinating. I'm kind of a little bit tingling. Oh, to get old and start getting excited about such things. Right, guys, I'm going to sign off and see you on the next video. Take care, guys. Bye now.